Before we begin, if you enjoy story narrations like this, consider subscribing so you don't miss future ones.
The guests at the Cecil Hotel complained that the water tasted strange. Some said it tasted metallic. Others said the shower water came out dark for a few seconds before turning clear again. One guest later admitted she brushed her teeth with it for days. By the time maintenance workers climbed onto the rooftop to inspect the hotel's water tanks, a 21-year-old student from Canada had already been missing for nearly 3 weeks. When they opened one of the tanks, they found Elisa Lam floating inside. And almost immediately, the internet became obsessed with one question: how did she get there? Because days before her body was discovered, police released elevator footage from the hotel. Footage that millions of people would replay over and over again for years, trying to understand what Elisa Lam was looking at just beyond the elevator doors. Long before Elisa Lam arrived in Los Angeles, the Cecil Hotel already carried a reputation that made people uneasy. Built in 1927 in downtown LA, the hotel had once represented luxury during the city's expansion years. Travelers, businessmen, couples all passed through its lobby beneath chandeliers and marble ceilings. But decades changed the building. Crime spread across downtown Los Angeles. The surrounding neighborhood became increasingly dangerous. Over time, the Cecil transformed from a glamorous destination into one of the city's most infamous hotels. People died there. Suicides, overdoses, violence. Even serial killers reportedly stayed inside the building at different points in its history. Guests described the atmosphere as oppressive. Hallways seemed endlessly narrow. Rooms felt stale and airless. Elevators malfunctioned constantly. The hotel sat near Skid Row, surrounded by addiction, homelessness, and crime. But because the rooms were cheap, tourists still booked stays there. One of them was Elisa Lam. Elisa Lam was born in Vancouver, Canada, in 1991. Friends described her as intelligent, expressive, and deeply introspective. She loved books, photography, music, and fashion. Online, she regularly shared thoughts about loneliness, identity, anxiety, and mental health struggles through Tumblr, posts that thousands would later revisit after her disappearance. She had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression, conditions she openly discussed online with unusual honesty. In January 2013, Elisa began a solo trip across the west coast of the United States. The journey was supposed to be exciting, independent, liberating. Her parents stayed in contact with her daily while she traveled. At first, everything seemed normal. She visited San Diego, Santa Cruz, Los Angeles, took photographs, posted updates, explored bookstores and cafes. Then she checked into the Cecil Hotel, and slowly things began to feel wrong. Elisa initially shared a room with other travelers inside the hotel's hostel-style section, known as Stay on Main. But according to reports later discussed publicly, her roommates complained about behavior. They described as unusual enough that hotel staff eventually moved Elisa into a private room. Exactly what happened remains unclear, and uncertainty became one of the defining features of the entire case. There were no dramatic confrontations, no confirmed threats, no known enemies, only fragments, small details, unanswered questions. Then, on January 31st, Elisa Lam disappeared. That was the last day anyone officially saw her alive. When her parents stopped hearing from her, alarm spread quickly. Elisa had maintained daily communication throughout her trip. Silence was completely out of character. Police began searching the hotel. Dogs checked parts of the building. Staff and officers searched rooms, hallways, and common areas, but somehow nobody found her. Days passed. Then police released surveillance footage from one of the hotel elevators, and the case transformed into something much larger. The footage begins normally enough. Elisa enters the elevator alone. Then things become unsettling almost immediately. She presses several buttons rapidly. Waits. The elevator doors refuse to close. She leans forward and peeks into the hallway cautiously, almost nervously, before suddenly stepping backward into the corner of the elevator, as if hiding from someone outside. But the hallway appears empty. She moves strangely after that, erratically. At times her gestures seem confused, at others almost fearful. She steps in and out of the elevator repeatedly while glancing down the hallway. Then she begins moving her hands in unusual motions, as though speaking to someone standing beyond the camera's view. No one visibly enters the frame. No one appears on the recording. Eventually, Elisa walks away from the elevator entirely. The doors finally close. It is the last confirmed footage of her alive. Once police released the video publicly on February 13, 2013, the internet exploded. Millions watched the footage, then watched it again. People slowed the video frame by frame, analyzed shadows, enhanced reflections, debated body language. Some viewers became convinced Elisa was hiding from someone. Others believed she was suffering from paranoia or hallucinations connected to a mental health episode. Conspiracy theories spread rapidly. Paranormal activity, government cover-ups, hidden figures in the hallway, unexplained elevator behavior, supernatural forces connected to the Cecil Hotel. The mystery became internet folklore almost overnight because the footage creates a disturbing psychological effect. It feels incomplete, like the camera failed to capture something important standing just outside the elevator doors, and human beings hate unfinished fear. 6 days after the elevator footage was released publicly, hotel guests began making serious complaints about the water. Pressure issues, dark-colored water, a strange taste. Maintenance worker Santiago Lopez climbed to the rooftop water tanks to investigate. Inside one of the tanks, he found Elisa Lam's body. The discovery horrified both investigators and the public, not only because of where she had been found, but because people immediately began asking how she could have gotten there at all. Questions spread rapidly. How did she access the roof? Were the doors locked? Why hadn't search teams found her sooner? Could someone else have been involved? Official reports later stated that rooftop access was possible and that Elisa could have entered the tank herself. But online speculation never truly stopped. The Los Angeles County coroner eventually ruled Elisa Lam's death an accidental drowning. Bipolar disorder was listed as a significant contributing factor. Toxicology reports indicated she had not been consistently taking prescribed medication at the time of her disappearance. Investigators publicly stated there was no confirmed evidence of foul play. To many people, the case represented a tragic mental health crisis that unfolded inside an already infamous hotel. But for others, the unanswered practical questions surrounding the case kept the mystery alive. Even years later, the elevator footage continues circulating online, endlessly dissected by strangers trying to solve a mystery that may never feel emotionally resolved. Because perhaps the most unsettling part of the Elisa Lam case is not what happened inside the water tank. It is the footage itself. A young woman alone inside an elevator, looking into a hallway where viewers can see nothing and reacting as though something is there anyway. The camera never shows us what Elisa Lam believed she saw that night, and maybe that is why the video continues haunting people years later. Not because of what it reveals, but because of what it never does.
Did the story send chills down your spine? And from which city are you tuning in tonight? Let's meet in the comments. If you enjoyed this dark tale, You can support me with a super thanks so I can keep uncovering more gripping true crime stories for you. Thank you so much for your support. It helps me bring even more suspenseful narratives to life. I'm looking forward to your thoughts on this mystery. There's a lot more waiting for you on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. See you in the next chilling story with intrigue and respect.